Welcome to episode 2 of John Gone West. If you're tuning in, that means your name has just been added to a government watch list. I'm your host, John Van Hook, and before we get started, I just kind of want to say thank you for coming to episode 2. You've listened this long. The first episode obviously didn't completely scare you away. And I don't know if you picked up any kind of confidence out of the first episode, because it wasn't there. I was really nervous, and even now I'm still kind of nervous, but I feel a little bit better because, hey, you're here, I'm here, and that makes it all the more better. My guest today, I have a guest. It's exciting. My guest today is the only person that I know that is above the age of 12 and still has at least one baby tooth. She's the only person to have witnessed me eating an entire box of 24-count pops, bomb pops, that is, and still find me attractive. Ladies and gentlemen, my fiancée, Alyssa Hines.
Hello. How's it going?
Alyssa, thank you for being on my show.
My pleasure. Thanks for squeezing me in.
Even though it wasn't really that hard. Last time I recorded, you were just like 2 rooms over.
Yeah, I was listening from that door outside.
Watching Cutthroat Kitchen
Always.
Or your Animu.
Yeah, actually I wasn't watching anime that time.
So this is exciting. We're doing a podcast.
This is a lot.
Yeah. Carl's in the room here with us,
Always.
just like last time.
Attached to our hips at all times.
As soon as we got in the room, he could smell it. He could feel it. He started clawing at the door. He's like, I fucking know you're in there. So, what do you think? What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. This is kind of your thing, isn't
That's
it?
okay. You don't know because I prepared some topics.
I figured you would.
I figured since it's episode 2. Episode 1, I talked a little bit about myself. Not much.
Right.
I know a lot of people told me I rambled, and they're not wrong.
Yeah.
I did ramble a lot.
Yeah, it was cute.
But I figured maybe we could talk about a little bit history between you and me. You know how we got together and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, our romance story.
How's that sound?
That sounds good to me.
All right. Well, do you want to start, or should I open us up?
Hold on, my cat's being a bad boy. Stop.
Oh yeah, he's clawing at stuff. Well, it was junior year. Mm-hmm. A lot of magical things happened that year.
It was August when we met, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we met in health class because I actually was gone for the first week of school because I was on vacation
responsible
in Chicago with one of my close friends. So I came back and they were already in a project. Like, I just got thrown in the middle of something that they were already done with. And I had no friends in that class, so the teacher just grouped me in with John and this random girl.
And it was one of those things where, like, the teacher says, yeah, I don't really give a shit, just pick whoever you want to work with, and then we'll get started.
And then I'm like, I don't have any friends in here, pick for me.
Well, I mean, immediately everybody who knew each other in that class, not that I didn't know people, it's just I didn't fucking like the people in that class.
Well, I knew them. I knew most of them since, like, kindergarten, but
it was like the
didn't
classic,
associate with them for a reason.
Yeah, it was like the classic gym class thing where it's like they all pair together and you're the last one there, and you look at the other stupid kid who's also the last one there, and you're just like, you want to work with me?
You want to be my partner?
So I partnered with this other girl that we don't really like. But so I had at least a few days alone trying to figure out what the fuck to do with her.
Yeah.
And
then they threw me in the day before the presentation, so I had literally no input in this, and I just kind of watched from a distance. And I didn't talk to you or the other girl, because that's just how
no, I did all the
charming
talking.
I am.
Because she kind of knew me.
Yeah, and I didn't know her at all.
Yeah,
I didn't go to school with her
neither
at
of
all.
us really knew you, but...
Yeah, because we all went to different schools.
I was like, well, this is fucking awkward, so... So I did all the talking.
Yeah.
And, what happened after that?
I don't know. That was kind of the last time we talked in that class until, like, we started to get to know each other a little better, but...
I mean, we did the project.
Yeah, we did the project, did an A. I did no work, and I got an
A,
A, so that was great.
I just brought in some fucking cardboard boxes and slapped some words on them.
I don't even remember what the project was about. I remember one of them said family. That's all I remember.
And I fucking knocked it down.
Yeah. But we had some similar friends, and at lunch I would sit with them because Every couple years, I have to move friend groups. That's unrelated, but whatever. I was sitting with the friends that John's also friends with, and
I didn't really like them.
he didn't like them, but he was sitting with us at lunch like every day for some reason, which
Yeah, that was weird. I wonder
so
why I did
weird
that.
because I had no idea who this kid was, and he just wanted to sit with us at lunch. But I was like, oh, whatever. He knows my friends, so I'm not going to put too much thought into it.
Just a little behind the scenes thing. In between the sitting at lunch with you and the project thing in health class, we had another class together that was
we had English together.
Yeah. And I stared at you a lot.
Yeah, I know you
Could
did.
you feel it?
I could feel it in the back of my head. Well, I had a friend who also sat behind me, so I just assumed she was being weird and looking at me. But nope, it was John being a creep.
So we sat together at lunch and stuff.
Yeah,
and
we had English together, and that was fun, and we got along really well. And then...
Because when I realized, oh, she's kind of cool, she's kind of attractive.
Yeah,
I say kind of like you're not.
kind of. I mean, I think I'm kind of attractive.
She's aight.
I'm aight, you know, whatever. I ain't nothing to go home about or nothing, but...
But eventually, then I just kind of made it a habit of sticking myself in your business.
In any situation I was in, yeah.
Yeah, just, accidentally being there.
Yeah, even when, the friends that we're friends with, I wasn't sitting with them, he would still sit with me for some reason.
You just walk up like, oh, is this where the entourage is sitting today?
Yeah, and I would be like, yeah, sure, whatever, I barely know you, but whatever.
Where is everybody?
Yeah. So, about a month rolls around, and we're acquaintances, I would say, at this point. And, I was talking to one of my girlfriends at lunch. Not an actual girlfriend, I want that to be clear. That's a whole nother episode. So, I'm talking to one of my girlfriends because homecoming's coming up, and I'm a teenage girl, so that's all I want to talk about that week. And we're both agreeing, I'd like to go, but I just don't know anybody that I'd really go on a date with, and I don't want to go with someone as friends, because been there, done that, that's always awkward. So, John's sitting there, as always.
Like a mouse scampering across the floor to an eagle in search of food.
Yeah. So, John's sitting there, and I'm just like, I'd like to go, but I don't really have anyone I know, and I don't want to go with someone as friends. And John's like, well, why don't you go with me? And me, being the insecure little shit I am, says, are you serious? And he immediately takes this as, oh wow, this is a mistake, she's a bitch, she doesn't like me at all.
It was mostly the look on your face that was like, oh, really?
No, I was genuinely shocked. I was like, oh my god, a boy likes me? What? How can this be? But, I say, and he says, well, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And, our awkward little friend there, who, I'm gonna not name him, because I still am friends with him, he is like, so you guys going as friends or as a date? And that immediately makes me go into my shell, and I'm like, how about we just talk about it at a different time, okay? Slide my phone number to him, all slick and shit.
I still have the piece of paper that you wrote the phone number on,
too. I know,
too.
you're cute.
I have it in one of these fucking boxes.
One of the millions of boxes we have in our house right now. So yeah, we go to homecoming together, and immediately hit it off. Like, I was kind of, I don't know about it, because I didn't know John very well at the time.
You want to do the backstory of the day of?
That was fun, because he was supposed to come pick me up, right? And I didn't want to go separately, because I've done that before, where we go separately, and then it's a quote-unquote date, but half the time you don't even spend the night with each other, because you're going to take different cars anyway, so, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And I had just gotten
his permit.
My permit, yeah. And I was like, fuck it, I don't need an adult.
I'll just drive, I don't give a fuck.
And I'd had my first car. It wasn't a new car, but it was my first car for a while. And I still have the car. I love the car to death. But at the time, it wasn't being much of a car, because it wasn't really moving.
It wasn't really running that day. And he kind of told me, he's like, well, we can take separate cars. And I had no way of a ride at that point. It was very last minute. I had nobody to take me. And he's like, well, you could just take a cab. And though I had a job, I was very broke. And I could not afford a cab. So I kind of freaked out on him and told him, if you don't come get me, we're not going together. I'm just gonna either have a friend come pick me up and come late, or I'm just not going.
And I'm a get shit done kind of guy. So.
So John shows up in a cab to my mom's house, and he's got flowers. He looks very dapper, and I immediately regret everything I said to him, and I think he's so cute, and I just want to have a really good night with him. And I think we did. We officially started dating that day, so that was fun.
We get in the car, and the cab driver is some I'd say 28-year-old dude. Looks like your typical cab driver, like real greasy, real scruffy.
Yeah, obviously dropped out of high school.
Yeah, drives like a fucking maniac. This guy's whipping around corners and shit, and we're like almost leaning into each other in the back of the cab,
which makes me a little awkward virgin, like self-quiver up and just don't know what to do with myself. So,
and at this point, I mean, we've talked for a while. We've hung out, in school
but not
at lunch,
in a romantic
classes.
setting. So this is new for us.
But we were in that cab, and your phone went off, and it was the Kim Possible little ringtone, and I was like, "Oh yeah,
It's like, what's
this is gonna be fun."
Yeah.
So we get to the dance.
We have a great time. I mean, I don't remember anything about that night except being
completely hammered. Just kidding.
I wish. No, it was just a fun time. I mean, the only real problem of the night was that I sweated my boobs down. My dress had to be pulled up every 2 seconds, but other than that, it was a great night.
Yeah, we danced
We had our first kiss that night.
Oh yeah, it was magical.
Yeah.
That was before
we weren't even dating yet. Yeah, it was just
premarital kissing.
Premarital kissing.
Scandalous.
Pre-dating kissing. Ooh. What a whore.
And then we danced a little bit. Not really.
Not really, because neither of us danced.
Yeah.
We danced for 3 songs, and then we sat next to our couple friends, 2 people. They were a couple at the time.
Siamese twins.
Yeah, Siamese
going
twins.
to the dance together.
We sat with them and we just talked. It was fun.
Yeah, even after the dance was fun for me because you got a ride home with a friend, and I walked home with our friend Bill.
Yeah.
And just typical 80s high school movie, fist in the air and you don't know what I did tonight. Her tongue was in my mouth.
She put her mouth on mine.
Yeah, it was great. So then we started dating. We was dating hardcore.
Yeah, we actually have been dating hardcore for almost 4 years now. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
So what's the next major thing that happened after that?
I moved out of my...
Whoa, you're skipping ahead a little bit.
I did. I skipped it a little bit. I don't know. Where do you want to go?
Well, we didn't go to prom that year.
No, junior year prom is a waste of money. And I was, like I said, broke. And I figured, we had both went to prom sophomore year, and... I figured separately, which is ironic, because I went with a friend, and
you went with a group of friends.
I went with one friend, and then it turned into a group of friends.
Oh, right.
Actually, it was supposed to be one group of friends, and then it turned into a completely different one, because the first one was being fucking... No, the first group was being really fucking lame, and just wanted to sit the whole time, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm here to dance, bitch. Okay. So, I did not get all duded up for nothing. So we didn't go to prom junior year.
It was just a lot of you coming to my house and hanging out and
you
doing
come to my mom's
stuff.
house and we'd watch movies on the couch
and not doing gross stuff. But then we went to my house and we did more gross stuff. We watched a lot of Netflix together.
We really did.
A lot of chilling together.
Stop. We didn't have a really eventful...
You want to talk about I feel like we missed our first date. We skipped that.
Oh, yeah, our first date, we went to the movies. We saw Annabelle.
Which was a terrible film.
A horrible movie. It's not good. And, okay, they're coming out with the third one. Side note, Why? Let it die. Please let it die.
How is this franchise still...
I don't know. It's like the Paranormal Activity stuff. People think that stuff is scary, but there's like 4 jump scares in the whole movie and the rest is trash.
I thought it was scary as a kid.
I didn't.
Well, it's because nobody told me it was fake at first.
Oh, really?
I was too young to realize.
No, this is
when the first one came out, I was still fairly young.
It's based on true events.
Ooh.
But that could be like their names. Who knows? But anyway.
It's one of my favorites because we just kind of sat in the movie theater and made fun of the movie.
Yeah, all we did, I'm pretty sure we got a couple ugly looks, but all we did was sit and giggle and laugh and make fun of the movie.
World's most romantic roast session.
Yeah. And it was fun. We left, and then we sat in the food court for a little bit, and then we waited for Stephanie to come pick us up, and...
shout out to my cousin Stephanie.
Yeah, shout out to John's awesome cousin Stephanie.
Who, while my car still wasn't working, was my liaison for getting back and forth.
So she came and picked us up and took us home. She was kind of like our little helper, personal driver, most of our relationship until you got your license. 'Cause I didn't get mine until after I was 18.
Yeah, so after that, we went on more dates. We hung out a lot. I guess that's the bigger part of junior year. And then I had the comedy thing that I talked about last week.
Yeah.
And we went to Chicago with my parents.
Yeah, we went to Six
That was
Flags.
fun. We stayed in the hotel for the first time together. My brother was in the hotel room, though.
Yeah,
my brother
and the boys.
and Kieran, No, Chase was in the other room.
Yeah, Chase was with your parents, and then Kieran and Jake stayed in the same room as us.
My brother has 2 beautiful children, if you haven't picked that up yet.
They're sweeties. They're precious little beans. I love them so much.
They're Kieran and Chase, and they are 2 of my favorite things about this godforsaken planet.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Agreed. But I don't know. I mean, summer of junior year mostly was or after junior year, was comedy stuff, Steamboat Days, a lot of raining.
And then Chicago, which Chicago was fun, but we went to Six Flags. That was Six Flags. We went on, 3 rides?
3 rides, an hour long for each fucking ride. Totally worth it, though. Totally
and then
fucking worth
by
it.
the time we got to the last ride, it was downpouring when we got off the ride.
Yep.
And we had to go find my parents, and then we just got something to eat and went back to the hotel room, which was almost the more fun part of the night, because then we just,
hung out in the
hung
hotel
out and
room,
watched fucking
I don't even remember what we watched.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
And all those fucking, cable access channels and shit.
Yeah.
And what happened after that? We started senior year. That's when finally got the Millennium Falcon, which is I call my my Grand Prix running, or Grand Am. Why do I always call it the Grand Prix?
Because you wish it was a Grand Prix.
No, I don't. I love the Millennium Falcon, okay?
Well, agree to disagree.
It's beautiful. It made the Kessel Run in less than 3 parsecs.
Okay.
You didn't really get that reference. Then that's the start of me driving you to school every morning.
Yeah. And then...
Instead of taking you took the bus, right?
I took the bus my entire childhood.
Was that the city bus or the school bus?
No, I took the school bus. I took the city bus one time. Fun story. I took the city bus one time when I was in either kindergarten or 1st grade, when I wasn't supposed to, and I was the last person on the bus, so I had to direct the bus driver to my grandmother's house, which was the only place in town I knew the directions to at that time. And everyone had been panicking. It was 5 p.m. at that point. I'd been missing. My mom's freaking out. And I just show up at my grandma's everything's fucking whatever.
After you had a nice little tour around town.
I hung out with the bus driver for an hour and just showed her where to go. I was like,
all the
well,
meth
I'm
heads
here.
go to their regular stops.
Yeah. And all the old ladies with their little shopping carts.
You sat in a little piss seat on the on the bus.
But I rode the school bus my entire childhood. So.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah. I mean... Have you ever ridden a school bus?
Not except for a field trip, no.
Okay, well then you have no idea.
No, I don't.
It's the worst. It's just people screaming all the time. People saying a lot of bad things to a 1st grader that's like, oh my god, did you hear that? He said the S word. He called her stupid.
And your brother had a seizure on the bus one time, didn't he?
7th grade, yeah.
Was that the first, bad
that was
epileptic
that was his
session?
first, grand mal seizure.
Yeah.
He had petit mals, but we weren't aware of it because he'd had, I don't remember the name of the test. I think it's EKG, but I'm pretty sure that's a hard thing. But it's a test to kind of check his brain waves to see if he has seizure activity. And he had one previously, and the doctor said, oh no, he's fine, there's no seizure activity on there. And then 7th grade, it was the first week of school, his 7th grade year. My 7th grade year?
Well, he's what?
He was in
2
7th
years
grade.
behind you?
So, he's 3 years behind me.
Oh.
He was in 7th grade. I was freshman?
I don't know. I don't do math.
I think I was a freshman or either a sophomore. It doesn't really matter. I was in early high school. He had a seizure on my lap because he was sitting across the aisle from me. And all of a sudden, his head was in my lap, and I was like, what the fuck, dude? What are you doing? And I was like, Tristan, get up, Tristan. And his head flips over, and his eyes are rolled in the back of his head, and he's having a seizure. And we're by Walgreens on Central Street in Burlington. And I immediately stand up and I put him on the ground on his side so that if he is throwing up, he doesn't choke on it. Mm-hmm. And I immediately stand up, I'm freaking out, and I'm yelling at the bus driver to stop so that she can call an ambulance because he's having a seizure. So me and him go in the ambulance, and it was a horrible day. Horrible day.
From the time that he starts having the seizure to the time that the ambulance gets there, how bad is he still seizing?
He was seizing pretty hard for, I think, 3 minutes, which seemed like an eternity at the time, but it was only 3 minutes. It was horrible. He had bit his tongue on both sides, so the foam that was coming out of his mouth had blood in it, so I thought that something was really wrong. Mm. And he didn't hit his head because I put his head down on the floor so that he wouldn't. But if I hadn't been sitting there, I don't know what would have happened, honestly. He wanted to sit across from me, which is so weird. And then after that, we sat next to each other on the bus every day until I stopped riding the bus senior year.
Oh, that's good. Very cautious.
Yeah. It was probably one of the most traumatic days of my life, and I know it was probably worse for him, but seeing my little brother like that is not a good time.
So after that, that's obviously...
That was before we met.
Way off topic,
wasn't it?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So, driving you to school senior year,
yep.
That was fun.
Yes,
Had
it
to
was.
be at your house early all the time. We almost never made it to school on time.
Never. I would show up to my, I think it was government first semester class late every day, and I would just get the same look every day. And I'd just be like, what do you want me to do, man? This is who I am. Tardy for the party.
Yeah. So, then, what, October? Wait, no.
Okay, we started school in August. I turned 18 in September. Mm-hmm. By November...
Which means all bets are off.
Yeah. By November... fun fact, John is 9 months younger than me, so... When I turned 21 this year, he just turned 20 in June, so I'm going to be 21 in September, even though it doesn't matter since, foreshadowing, I'm pregnant.
How was that foreshadowing? I already told him about it.
I don't care what you told him. I'm going to tell him about me being pregnant. November, was personal issues that I don't really want to get into. I moved out of my mom's house, and...
That's another thing we talked about last week. Family issues. Nobody's perfect. Back to the story.
Yeah. Things that have been... all has been forgiven, and nothing is wrong anymore, so I'd rather just not get into it. Anyway. November, I move out, and I move into this shitty little roachy apartment on the south side of Burlington, which...
If you live in Burlington, you probably already know what a Wilson rental is.
Oh my god. A joke is what a Wilson rental is. It's a roachy, rat-infested joke.
Like, the least amount of care you could put into a housing facility.
Like, you know everyone's worst nightmare? of an apartment, like the first apartment you're gonna rent. That was my apartment.
Talking roaches, water
Yeah.
stains on the ceiling, on the floor,
Yep.
the bathroom, the sink.
There was black mold in my
falling
bathroom.
off. Yeah.
There was just a standing shower with the water pressure of somebody peeing on your head. For the longest time, I had a clog in my sink, and Wilson blamed it on me. Had a plumber over. That didn't help.
He came over and tried to fix it. That didn't help.
That didn't help. All he did was show me half of his ass in the process.
That guy he's been working on his plumber's crack
Yeah.
for years, and you can tell.
Oh, yeah. He's a pro at it at this point. But anyway.
Until I dived in and found out that there was a dead rat
yeah.
stuck in the pipe.
Yeah, no, we had to leave a 5-gallon tub underneath my sink every night. And we would dump it out because it'd get full by the morning.
Because the pipes were leaking so much, and they would overflow to the point where it would actually start coming out of the
sink,
the top
and
of the
it
sink
smelled
and fill up the sink.
horrible, nasty, and I had no idea why. I never put anything food-wise down the sink unless it's a garbage disposal, and that didn't have a fucking garbage disposal. Wasn't that bougie there?
Mind you, this wasn't a house that was meant to be an apartment building.
No, it was
just
a
house.
It was
a
a house
big house
that was split into 4 apartments.
Yeah.
And we were on the lower left side.
Yeah.
And it was a studio, so there was the living room, the kitchen, and the bathroom, and that was fucking it. And the living room also doubled as a bedroom, which also doubled as a double bedroom, which is a story I'm about to get into. But we kept that tub underneath the sink, and one day we went in there, and there was a fucking rat floating in it, because that had been what was clogging my pipes for literally a month, and my fucking landlord was telling me it was because I was putting grease down the sink. When there was a back door, I threw my grease out the fucking door, So we finally get that fixed, but backtrack a little bit. I moved in November, and December, a friend of ours had a family situation of his own, and we let him move in with me, because John wasn't living with me at the time. He was helping me with bills, because he planned on moving in with me, and I was already working 2 jobs my senior year, and I could barely get by when I was at a point where I could pay my bills, but I couldn't, feed myself all the time, so John helped me so I could live comfortably and eat.
I would have moved in, but my parents
Yeah, his parents said
did
no,
not
which
like
is
that idea.
understandable since he was only 17 and he was still in school. It wasn't an ideal situation for either of us, but anyway, we have a friend move in December. It was 2 days before Christmas. He gets kicked out of his parents' house, so we're both feeling horrible for him, so we let him move in. So it's me and our friend.
And my cat.
And, yeah, Carl lived with me, because Carl moved out of John's house before he did. Carl lived with me. He was my little bud. And we lived there till May of the next year. John moved in March.
January.
I don't think you moved in
No, it was
January.
January. I remember. It was definitely January. Because it wasn't even snowing at the time that I moved in, and then it snowed afterwards.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, you moved in January.
December was not a white Christmas that
No, it
year.
wasn't. It was a wet, dreary Christmas.
Yeah.
I think it snowed, the night that our friend got kicked out, and then it didn't snow again until January.
And about mid-January is when my parents were finally like, you know what?
They found out he was paying bills is what it was.
You're paying the bills at this apartment. Half your shit is already there.
Why don't you just move out?
You seem to be a responsible kid.
Yeah.
So they're just like, if you can do it, go ahead. You got to stay in school.
Yeah.
You got to, prove to us that you're still doing your work and being what you should be.
Right.
And I even had a job. I started my job at Hy-Vee Grocery. That was...
Ooh, yeah. Side note, John got me to work at Hy-Vee junior year. I quit my one job I had, and then senior year, when I got kicked out, I picked that job that I quit back up so that I could pay bills, so I had 2 jobs.
And I only started at Hy-Vee weeks before I met Alyssa in that health class. That I started July 28th, 2014.
Yep.
And so I'd been working there for a while now. So I was working there, helping Alyssa take care of this other, 16, 17-year-old
Yeah, he paid the MediaCom bill, which was just internet, but
A few times.
a couple times, yeah.
And he had a job.
He did. I mean, that's such a sticky situation because that friend isn't really our friend of ours anymore, and I mean...
I wonder why.
I wish things would have gone differently, but they didn't, so this is where we are now.
Just don't talk.
Yeah, we just don't talk. I mean, it's fine that him and his girlfriend blocked me on everything, even though I did nothing to them but give them fucking shelter, but whatever.
On multiple occasions, but
multiple
whatever.
occasions, but anyway. So, junior year, or no, that's senior year, we're in the apartment till May. Our friend tells us that he can take over the lease because we found another place, which is ironically right next door to his parents.
Yeah, it was literally the house a spit away from my parents' house.
Literally next door. They're 1103, we were 1105, or they were 1105, we were 1103.
Yeah.
So, literally next door. So, we signed the lease overs to our friend. He pays 1 month's rent and gets evicted.
Yeah, because he just stopped
and then
paying
moves
rent.
into her parents' house with her, his
girlfriend.
girlfriend. Yeah. So we move into our first house together with John's cousin Stephanie, who
Hi, Stephanie.
Who was literally the only good roommate we've ever had. No offense, Damien, but
he's not gonna fucking listen to this.
He doesn't listen. He doesn't give a shit. But Stephanie is the only good roommate we've ever had. The most reliable, the cleanest, the coolest. She ate my cooking. That was great.
She did more than eat your cooking.
She ate my cooking.
She
She'd
would
come home from
hammered.
work hammered and fucking eat my leftovers.
How
which
did you guys cook?
John wouldn't even eat my
amazing.
leftovers, so it was awesome for me.
It's not that I wouldn't eat your leftovers. It's
You're just
that
not a leftover guy.
I
And then
am
half the
sometimes.
time...
It really depends on what it is.
well,
Moving
most
on.
of the stuff I cook is pasta, and you won't eat that leftover, so... But anyway, we graduated May, moved into this new place. We barely graduated, by the way. Senior year was mostly trying to wake up from school and being exhausted from either working all night or doing stupid teenage stuff all night, being a teenager who doesn't have parents.
The majority
in their
of
house.
the time, though, we made it to school about third or fourth period every day.
And, yeah.
Still got my diploma, though.
Yeah, still got my diploma, so all
Shout
you
out to
motherfuckers
that.
who didn't think I could, look at me now.
But we graduated, 2 weeks into being in our new house?
Yeah, we moved in the middle of our last couple weeks of school.
Yeah.
So on top of trying to get my last cramming of credits in and points for my classes, we were moving, which was an added stress, but it was nice to be in the house once we got there. Then
We lived there with Stephanie,
Yeah, we lived
and
there
that
with
was
Stephanie.
great.
Stephanie eventually moved out
Because she met,
because she met her
a very
a lovely gentleman.
wonderful gentleman.
He's a wonderful man.
I wouldn't call him a gentleman, but he's a man.
He's a good guy.
The father to her child now,
Yeah.
a beautiful young
Mr.
child.
Gonzalez.
And they moved out, or she moved out rather. She moved in with him,
To Illinois.
and that's when my big brother Damien
Moved in with us.
strolled into
Yep.
town and needed a place to stay. So he stayed in her room for a while, and that was fun. He wasn't really there
He
ever.
wasn't. Yeah, he basically.
He's a show up when I need to sleep kind of guy.
Yeah, basically.
But we love him all the same.
Yeah.
Um,
Sowing his wild oats.
And that wasn't long until he lost his job, and I said, well, can you pay rent? And he said, well,
No.
no. And I
And,
said, well, I got a room open.
Yeah, so.
And I
lo
don't
and-
like doing shit for that room,
Yeah.
but it seemed like he
It
wasn't
makes
going
us
to get a
sound
job.
like assholes when we talk
Well,
about
it seemed like he
I
wasn't
mean,
going to get a job anytime soon, and we got to,
Yeah.
cover our own ass
Yeah,
and
'cause-
make sure rent was paid. Not
'cause
like
I
we
was just
couldn't have
working
done it
part.
by
I think
ourselves,
we were both
but
just working part time then.
yeah.
So we couldn't do it without somebody else. So
Yeah, it was only later. Excuse
it was later in the year that
Later
you got
that year that I
full-time.
became full-time
And then I didn't get
at
full
Hy-Vee.
time until the year after.
As an
So
assistant manager.
yeah.
And,
So, lo and behold, this friend that lived with us previously is getting kicked out of the place he's in again. So, being the friends that we are.
Who never learn our lesson.
We just love putting our hands back in that fire. But
And the original plan was to have Damien stay there for a while and let them stay. We were going to fix up our, like the basement area. It wasn't a finished basement, but it was, we could have made it a better area for someone to live in. And then they said no to that.
They wanted a bedroom.
And
they were going to be paying bills.
They were going to stay somewhere else. And then Damien later decided that he was going to go stay with someone else. Mm-hmm. And then that made the room come available. And then we accepted him in to come, stay with us, live with us.
And that it was fun when it was fun. And then when it wasn't fun, it was really bad. So
like worse than the first time we lived with them.
Because there was 2 of them. Even though we were in a 2-bedroom house and it was bigger and more space and not a studio, it felt just as cramped.
They were not great at paying bills.
They weren't great at cleaning up either.
They weren't great at me asking them to pay them bills.
Yeah, they would always get really defensive about it.
Not great at keeping I don't want to sit here and talk shit about them. Let's just cover the consensus. They were not great roommates.
Not good roommates. I mean, we'll just leave it at that.
So eventually, time went on, we did this, we did that. We went to Michigan together, our first vacation.
Mm-hmm. That was fun.
That was loads of fun. We went to see our good friend Katie. We love Katie.
Katie's my favorite.
She actually,
before
that, she ventured off to Michigan to live with her new boyfriend.
She graduated. Yeah.
And they're doing fantastic last I checked. She's got a job, he's got a job, they're both working, they're both loving life, * hating life.
Mm-hmm. That's anyone our age.
And we came back from that, and we had a few good months of just sitting around and working and do whatever we want. And then one morning, I'm awoken by the phone call of my landlord, and he says, listen here, John, so here's the thing. We here at Diamond Realty, we don't own that house. Someone else owns it. I'm just your property manager. And the owners of the house, they want to sell it. You got to get out. And so we said...
No. He said... You can either stay and deal with people seeing your house all the time and coming in and out of your house and keeping it immaculate for people to see.
But what that would be is if someone wants to buy the house, then you have to
evacuate. So it's like you might as well just leave now before all that
I don't want someone coming in and looking at my shit and looking at my house.
I don't want to be in the house and someone just comes in whenever
How do you think that makes me feel? I love living here. This is my house.
Oh, yeah, I love that house.
And, I mean, I may just be renting, but... this is where I live. I don't want someone coming in and starting to fucking make bids on where I hang my hat.
Yeah.
And so we just decided maybe it'd just be better if we just beat the hustle. Let's just find a new place to live. Mm-hmm. 2 birds, 1 stone. We were also trying to get rid of our horrible, horrible roommates at that point.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. I went out one day after, we're starting to get things put together. We're starting to get things packed. We got to get out. We got to find a new place to live. And I just went out and stumbled upon a nice apartment and little 2-bedroom that me and Alyssa, for the first time,
could afford without a roommate.
Yeah, and that's what we did. We never had a roommate. We moved right in, and it was easily the nicest place we've ever lived.
And it was
before we lived
great
here.
Great neighborhood, even
Oh yeah. Just, like elderly people and nice Caucasians.
There's a bunch of old people. Like when we first moved in, we were the only people in the entire building. So
it was a duplex, I guess you call it. It had 4, a quadplex? Is that what I call it?
I don't know what it's called.
It was like an upstairs and downstairs, 2 on each side apartment
it's
building.
Similar. It's what our first apartment was really trying to be.
Yeah. And, done the right
place.
way.
Yeah, it was a beautiful place. We didn't have problems with our landlord until we moved out. And then we just lived in that great place. We got engaged a month after.
You want to tell them about that?
Okay, let's lead up the week of, because I didn't want to spoil John's surprise, but I knew what he was doing. I had no idea that he was gonna do it when he did it until I got home from work that day. Because I worked an early shift that morning, and then I got home, and John's like, let's go out to dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant, La Tavola, which is if you live in Burlington, if you haven't been there, honestly, you need to go. It'll change your life. It's honestly so good.
Easily the best Italian food in the region.
Yeah. So, I didn't want to spoil John's surprise.
And
but
the owner's from Sicily, so
yeah,
you know it's that legit
so
shit.
good. So we get home and John's like, let's go to La Tavola for dinner, you know. It's no special occasion. We were just talking about how we wanted to save money, so I knew that's what he was doing. So I get really dressed up because I know that he's going to take a picture of me if we go out to eat, which he does every single time we go out to eat.
I have so many pictures of her, like, putting food in her mouth or drinking from coffee cups and shit sitting across the table from her.
So we go, and it's great. And before, I think we just get our drinks, and we had put our order in. And John says something about something in the window behind me. So I turn around and I look, and then I turn back around, there's this little red box on the table, and I'm like, immediately freaking out. I'm like, is that what I think it is? And he's like, I don't know, why don't you open it? So I open it, and it's this beautiful little ring. I mean,
emphasis on little.
It's perfect. It's honestly perfect for me, because I don't, if you know me, you know I'm not like a big flashy girly girl kind of person, so I want something that's pretty but not in your face. So it's honestly, it's beautiful. I wish that you could see it, because I'm showing the microphone, but you can't see it. So we get engaged. We actually split for a little bit, but it was kind of a...
Let me tell my side of what you just told.
Okay.
4 months before that happened, I went to a jewelry store and I picked out the ring, and it was a pretty penny. Definitely more than I can afford in one sitting, especially with, I was working full time and I was making a lot, but you got bills to pay for, you got shit to do, and so I was making payments. I think I had it on a 6-month thing, and I made it to month 4 until I was like, just give me that fucking thing.
Take all my money.
I literally threw almost every penny I had in my account at
Except
this
for
woman.
enough for us to eat that night at dinner.
No, because you paid, remember?
Oh, yeah, I did pay. You're like, by the way, I paid for this ring today, so... Which, I don't want anyone coming at John about that, because I'm a millennial woman. I pay for my own shit if I fucking want to.
So I got the ring, like 2-3 days before that. I set up the date to do it. You were getting ready. I got the ring. I put it in my pocket. Driving up, it was in my pocket. It was in my pocket. We got in the car. As she was getting in the car, I threw it in the back seat. As she was getting out of the car, I threw it into my pocket. And I walked with my hands over it in the pocket, so it made it look like my hands were just full, or my pockets were just full of my hands.
Yeah.
And then I finessed the shit out of it.
Did.
I made sure that she had no idea.
I didn't
Obviously,
think he had a
she
box.
fucking did.
I knew he was going to propose. I just didn't know how.
And then
yeah, and then we had a brief split for a couple months, but the whole time we didn't really stop seeing each other. We just kind of were not officially together, quote unquote.
You know that thing where people are like, I can't be with you, but I need to be with you.
Yeah.
And we still have all kinds of sex.
Yeah,
still.
It's like, you move out, but you still come over and have sex with me all the time. And we'd have dinner and shit, but anyway. Yeah, we split for a bit, but then we got back together that year.
Because I got my shit straight. Yeah. I was stupid.
Yeah.
I'll admit it.
He was very stupid.
I made a lot of stupid decisions.
Yeah, stupid guy, but look at him now. He's made a lot of good decisions since then.
Yeah, I try to think only good decisions. Something like that sets you straight.
Yeah, so we got back together, and during the time we were apart, John's grandfather had died, so he had come here to Arizona. And he just knew he wanted to move here. And I was always kind of ready for a change. So I was on board fully. You know, I've only ever lived in Burlington. I mean, I lived in Michigan for a short period of time when my mom was pregnant with my brother, and then she had him there. But I was 3. I don't remember it. But I've always wanted to live somewhere else. I've always wanted to see as much as the world as I possibly can, even if it's just some of the United States, you know? So
we went to 5 different states you've never been in, so...
Well, yeah, I mean, my stepdad is a truck driver, so I had been to other states, but I'd never, like, been to other states, you know what I mean? Like, we just drove through.
Right.
But, yeah, we went to states that I'd never been. We're in a completely different time zone, which is new for me.
So when we got back together, I immediately put into place this plan.
Yeah, and we immediately started saving and getting ready to move here.
Which was hectic.
Yes.
It was stressful.
Very much so.
It took months, but we did it.
Yes, we did.
We did great.
We did do great.
I think.
I think we did pretty good. I mean...
We've only been here, like,
2 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, a couple weeks. But it's... Honestly, I absolutely love it here. It's beautiful. I look out my window and I see a mountain, and that's...
I said that last week.
A whole nother realm for me, since I've lived in the plains my entire life.
Plains.
The plains. And the highest thing I've ever seen is a hill. So, this is great for me. I mean, it's a totally different... When people say culture shock, it is a culture shock to an extent. I mean, everyone here is super nice. It's weird. People in the Midwest are supposed to be nice, but most of the people I know in the Midwest are methy assholes. So, but, I mean, it's total culture shock. I mean, the only difference here is that all the people that come from Chicago aren't here. They're the people who come from Mexico. So, it's just a different world here, and it's, honestly, I absolutely love it here, so...
You're happy with
very much happy with
differences in greens to
Yeah.
browns?
Everyone kept saying that to me. They're like, oh, wow, there's no green there, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't give a shit. Green's a boring color.
All
I've ever seen is green. So green, to me, is the people who say brown is boring, because all they've seen is brown. So, your brown is my green. And then, I don't know. I mean, people... They greatly downplayed this place and made it seem like it was going to be horrible. And the stupidest comment I'd get is, it's hot down there, right?
It's hot
No
down
fucking
there.
shit, it's the Southwest, of course it's hot. But it's a dry heat, okay? I know everybody says that, I know it's some fucking bullshit, but it's true, dry heat is totally different. If it was the same temperature here as it was in Burlington today, it feels hotter in Burlington because it's fucking humid all the fucking time, because it's right next to a fucking river. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox about the heat.
Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah.
From then, we saved up. We stayed with my brother for a while.
About a month.
Yeah, we were supposed to leave June 1st, and we ended up leaving June 28th. And we mostly
did this,
stayed just
to spend time with people while neither of us had a job, and while we could still do that, because the next time we're going to be in Burlington is September, so it was going to be a while before we could see anybody again, so we wanted to spend as much time with anyone as possible. It was like senior year, just cramming for that last bit.
Mm-hmm. And it was great. But now we're here. Now we're doing
here,
it.
And it's
we're living.
great. I have no friends here, but honestly, I'm not complaining. Because I haven't had to leave my house for anything besides things I want to do, so...
Selfish.
I am selfish. God damn it, I deserve it.
And then, roughly 6 short months from now, we're going to be...
parents.
Introducing a whole new asshole to the world.
Yep. Another little asshole. I found out I was pregnant. I don't even remember when I found out I was pregnant.
Just recently.
Yeah.
And,
I don't remember the day.
Yeah,
exactly.
We've been rolling with it since.
Yeah. I am, by the time this goes up, I will be 12 weeks pregnant, which is 3 months officially. 3 months down, 6 to go.
Still haven't seen a doctor.
Yeah, I don't see my doctor till August 2nd because that's the earliest they could get me in here since I'm a new patient. So.
But we'll be sure to add some details after that happens.
Yeah.
Now, I have on here. Maybe we can talk a little bit about Alyssa's upbringing. Let's get into the deep of
Alyssa.
From infant to adolescent on what Alyssa is, who we have. Are you pointing to this?
No.
What are you pointing at?
I was pointing at the time, dear.
Oh, we have plenty of time.
Okay.
I got 90 minutes. We're only 49 minutes in.
Okay.
So Just give us a little lowdown. Where does Alyssa come from? From who? From where? From why? From how?
I was born September 18th, 1997 to Amanda Thompson, who was Hines at the time, and Billy Hines, who was my technical father.
More like a sperm donor.
Kinda, yeah. Well, my parents were married until I was 3. If that tells you anything. So, I don't really remember having a father in my life at any point. I mean, closest thing I had to a father was my grandfather and my uncle on my mom's side. So, not much of a dad story to go back on, but my mom is from, I think she was born in Burlington, but she was raised in Danville. So, raised in a smaller school, smaller area. I think she's only had like 26 kids in her class, her graduating class, which is fucking crazy.
26 kids in her
Yeah.
graduating class?
Yep. That's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's literally insane. We
We
had
had
like
like
500 or something like
I thought
that.
we had around like 300 to 400.
I don't know. We had a smaller class for Burlington.
Well, that's because
That's because everyone dropped out.
out.
Which I came close to multiple times, but I didn't because I'm not a quitter.
Still did it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm not my father's first child, but my mother's. So I have 2 older brothers, Alex and Derek, from my dad's previous marriage, who are great. I think they're 7 and 8 years older than me.
One of them's about excuse me, I'm yawning again.
Your oldest brother's age.
Yeah,
Jacob.
my oldest brother, Jacob.
Yeah, Derek.
And to my knowledge, they shared a little bit of a, I wouldn't say love interest, but
They don't get along. Let's just put it at that.
romantic
They do not get along. And I found that out after me and John were living next to his parents, which is fun. Anyway, so I have Alex and Derek. Alex is the oldest, and then Derek, and then there's me. And then 3 years later, my mom has my brother Tristan. And then my mom and dad split. Their divorce is official.
What did your father have to say about that?
Oh, are you really going to get into this?
I just want to hear that. That's my favorite sentence you've ever said.
My dad told my mother, my mom was happy with one kid. She honestly just wanted a girl, and she would have been happy. My dad told my mother, I want to raise a son. I want to actually have a son I can raise. And then their divorce was final by the time my brother was 8 months old. Because I don't want to go through the dragging my dad through the mud, because I do that enough on a daily basis that I probably shouldn't do it podcasty.
I just wanted you to say that
But
part.
the gist of it is that my dad doesn't know how to keep it in his pants. And he never has. I don't really know if he does in the current marriage he's in, which is the reason his last one failed. So, that's fun. But I have my 2 older brothers and then my 1 younger brother.
So that whole debacle with your mother and your father,
Yeah.
and that other person goes through.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, what happens?
Afterwards, we were back in Burlington at that point because my brother was born in Kalamazoo, Michigan. My dad made my mom move up there because they were going to stay up there. My mom hated it. She hates the cold. So why the fuck she would move to Michigan, I don't know. But she was in love, so she was going to follow him, whatever. But they get back, because their marriage kind of is on the rocks at that point. They come back, and
I'd say so.
my mom, I don't remember where we were living at that point, since I was 3, but we come back, and my mom raises me and my brother by herself. I mean, my grandmother and my grandfather help when they can, but she is my only parent. She's my sole parent. She's the only one that's been there for me. She's the only one who's really shown that she's given a shit. I mean, my dad may give a shit, but it's kind of hard to tell when you kind of ignore your kids their entire life.
And you would say that you haven't had a perfect relationship with her?
No.
But that being said, the fact that she sticks around to no end, the fact that she still gives you everything she could possibly give you
my mom
to
would
no
give me
end,
the shirt off of her back right now if she could send it quickly.
waves, yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, I've had problems with my mom in the past, but honestly, I look past anything I've ever had a problem with my mom for is because she's the only parent who gives a shit. Mm-hmm. So, it's... it's like the good outweighs the bad. You know what I mean?
All is forgiven.
All is always forgiven because she's my only parent. She's the only one who's ever really given a shit about me. So I grow up. My dad would see us. I mean, I make it sound like I hadn't seen him since I was 3. We would see each other on major holidays and maybe every 3 months. So, and that was only. Sometimes he would. Here's some shitty. Here's
I feel
a shitty
like I
little
see
story.
my dentist more than that.
You probably do. I saw my doctor more than I saw my father, so that's fun.
Hello, Dr.
Daddy. But, I mean, I really don't. I hate just talking shit about him because I really don't know his side of the story because I don't know him. So it's hard for me to just sit here and talk shit from one side when I absolutely don't know the man. I mean, I don't know his favorite color. I don't know what his favorite food is. I don't know what he does on a weeknight after work. Like, I have no fucking idea. But besides spend time with the stepdaughters he actually loves and not me, but whatever. So, my mom raises me. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. We moved around a lot, even though it was in the same town. So, I went to a lot of the elementary schools in town. I went to Sunnyside first. I went to Grimes first, then Sunnyside, then Blackhawk, then Sunnyside again. And then I went to Oak Street for 1 year, which is no longer a school. I was one of the last classes in that school. And then went to Aldo Leopold, which is like middle school. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but
that's okay.
I think one of the most like vivid things in my childhood is when my grandfather got sick. He was horribly sick. I never know if it was cancer or just liver cirrhosis, or that's kind of the same thing, or what. I mean, he's had heart problems in the past, so he had 2 heart attacks, and then he got really sick. And he died 4th grade, because I remember a teacher pulling me out of class because she was my grandparents' neighbor to give her my condolences, which was a nice
Did you know at that
thought.
point?
No, I knew. I mean,
oh, okay.
What
I thought she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry about your grandpa who's totally dead, and you didn't know yet."
So she was coming to. But anyway, she No, I found out he had passed because that week that he got put in a hospice, I went to stay at my other grandma's because my mom didn't want us seeing him like that, which I totally understand. Because I would hate to be haunted by the way he looked when he was like that. Because that's not who he was. That was just what happened to him. You know what I mean?
You want to talk about who he was real quick?
He was the coolest person in the entire world. I mean...
It's crazy to think about something like cancer taking down such a tough son of a bitch.
He's the toughest fucking guy. He was super fucking cool. Like, think of the coolest fucking guy from the 60s that you can think of. My grandpa was cooler than him, man.
He was a biker.
He was a biker. His family owned the basket company in Burlington. He was a fucking baller. His grind every fucking day. Weaving baskets is harder than you'd fucking think. So, but he was on his fucking grind. He provided for a family, and when he was young, like he was young, when I think he was in his 20s, so he's about our age, early 20s. Because he's 3 years older than my grandma, and she was 19 when she had my mom. So, but he was a fucking badass. My grandma's also a badass. I'm not trying to like downplay that she's
gotta
not
be to
cool.
keep up with that guy.
Yeah. But he was the coolest fucking guy ever. He loved amazing music. He was a biker. He had one of those old vans that people had that had the fucking little curtains in them, which I thought was the sickest thing ever as a kid. But he was just awesome. He had an Indiana Jones fucking pinball machine in his basement. Like, how much cooler can you get as a grandpa? I don't fucking think you can. And he was covered in tattoos. I mean, I know that a lot of people in that era thought tattoos were, taboo, but he was literally fucking covered in them. He had one on his arm. It was, of Hellraiser, or I don't know what it's called. It's a little comic, And it says...
I thought it was like a little devil guy.
He is. He's a little devil, but he's a comic. It's like a really old comic. And it says, Born to Raise Hell. And it's the fucking coolest little thing ever. I'm definitely gonna get one.
Was it like a devil baby?
Yeah,
thing?
A little devil baby, had a diaper on. He was cute. But it said Born to Raise Hell, and it was like the coolest fucking thing ever. And I'm definitely getting one once I'm not pregnant anymore. So, he was just awesome. I mean, okay, so the week that he gets put in hospice, my mom sends us to my grandmother's house, and he was there for 3 days before he passed. That was a really rough week for me, because, like, I kind of, oh, God, I hope my grandma doesn't listen to this, because that was the week I stopped believing in God, so,
Everyone's got to hear it once in a while.
I literally prayed every day, every second I was awake, that he would pull through, that some sort of miracle would happen, that he wouldn't die, because he didn't deserve to die. He didn't deserve to die like that. That's a horrible way to go. Your body just suffering and shutting down. It's horrible. So, one morning I wake up, and I go out into the living room, and my grandma just gets off the phone, and she looks at me, and I know he's gone at that point, and I have never cried more in my entire life. Like, it was like one of those cries where you think your eyes might pop out because you're crying so fucking hard, and your brain's pulsing, and there's snot running down your face,
well, it's
and your chest hurts.
He's the pillar in your life.
He's the male figure in my life, and he's gone now, so I have nobody at that point. I mean, I don't have anyone as a man to look up to, so...
Obviously, the person that you're supposed to look up to...
doesn't give a shit about me, and he's in Wapello, so...
I was more talking about God. He didn't really pull through, but...
God's not real. Sorry if I'm offending anybody, but at that point, all I did was pray, and I couldn't believe in a God who would let something happen like that to somebody who is that awesome and that important in my life, like... And I hate when people say, everything happens for a reason. That didn't need to happen. Not then. I wanted him to see me graduate. I wanted him to see me get married. I wanted him to see me have kids, but...
I wanted him to see me.
I wanted him to meet John, who's now the male figure in my life. Not that I look up to John as a...
He sounds like the guy I want to crack a Heineken with.
He would crack a Heineken with you. Smoke a cool, drink a Heineken with you. And then...
Well, that's not what we'd be smoking, but that's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole nother episode. But he was the greatest guy ever, and after him dying, I kind of turned into a different person for a while, just because I didn't really know how to function without him. So, I don't think I really got back into myself, which sounds so dramatic, until, like, 9th or 10th grade. I mean, honestly, I wasn't really okay after that. I mean... A lot of kids talk about going through depression as a kid, and I think I went through undiagnosed depression for a really long time. I still have never been diagnosed with depression, but I fully believe I deal with it even, like, today. Not that I'm depressed today.
I think you take it like a champ.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But...
I think we feed off of each other's.
Depression's
yeah.
Fuck all the time.
So, after that...
Yeah, after that, I mean, I went through puberty that year, which is fun. Had my first period. Got armpit hair. Had to wear a bra. I actually had to get a bra in 3rd grade, but that's because I developed very early. Got my period. I started shaving my legs that year. It was my woman year. 4th grade as a 9-year-old. Awesome.
So wait, what year did he pass again?
09, I think.
And you were in what grade?
I was just going into 4th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So.
That all happened the same year. It was a shitty year for me.
So what happened after 4th grade?
4th grade was whatever. I don't like talking about 4th grade.
Nobody does.
Yeah. 5th grade was... It's such a whatever year. I barely remember 5th grade. It was like... I just wanted to get out of elementary school. I just wanted to be a middle schooler. Yeah, I just wanted to be a cool kid. Like all the older kids I was friends with, because all my friends were already in middle school.
4th grade wasn't that bad for me. That's what I meant. what was currently my best friend, still a good friend to me, my friend Ethan. Ethan, hope you're listening to this. Miss
Hi,
you,
Ethan.
buddy.
Don't know you, but hi. We've never met, but what's up, dude?
I'll probably bug you about this after I post it. But anyway, go on.
But yeah. No, 5th grade was whatever. 6th grade sucked. Oh my god, 6th grade sucked so hard. I got my first kiss in 5th grade.
Whose
so.
fucking 6th grade didn't suck, though? 6th grade should be...
6th grade
I feel
was
like you should be able to skip a year of schooling between 5th and 7th. You know what? Take 7th out, too, because 7th was no better.
7th grade was the fucking worst. It was the epitome of edge for me. But no, 6th grade was the year of body odor, mean girls, and hand-cut bangs. I had straight across bangs that were not straight, so...
Those huge glasses that are just the frames, no lenses to make you
no,
look quirky.
I've had glasses since 4th grade, so I couldn't even have the quirky glasses all the girls had. I had real glasses. I had acne everywhere. I had it on my face, I had it on my neck. I had back knee, ladies and gentlemen. Back knee is the worst as a 6th grader. 7th grade, me and my friend fell into this emo-y phase, but I didn't have enough money to be full emo.
That you've never really recovered from.
I never recovered from that. Here I am, still an emo piece of shit. I just don't dress as black.
Black the color, not
Black
the
the
skin
color. Yeah, that's whole nother phase. That was freshman year. Anyway, no,
You were a gangster freshman year?
I used to wear my sweatpants under my ass because I'd wear a pair of shorts underneath because I wanted to sag.
Yeah, but didn't
cool.
most white girls do that?
Yeah, but
I say they
we're
did.
from a
I think they
we're
did.
from a special little spot of white girls. So, 6th grade sucked. 7th grade, me and my best friend Samantha. Hi, Sam. We're edgy little emo fucking cringy little kids. I look back at pictures of us and posts I put that year, and I really want to go back and just punch myself in the face.
To be fair, I feel like most people
everyone probably went through that phase in 7th grade.
I did.
Yeah, I know you did.
7th grade was a terrible year
Not
for me.
that all the pictures that you had of that year haven't been burned or anything, but whatever.
The majority of them.
I haven't seen a single one, but 8th grade was I started to turn into a real person and not just an eyeliner caked.
That was the end of the evolution, or
Yeah.
more like the beginning. I guess.
Beginning of like who I
The
really
better
am
part
now.
of that
Yeah.
evolution.
And then 9th grade sucked. I had a crush on my best friend's boyfriend all year, and that was fucking shit. So then 10th grade, my best friend dropped out of high school because her parents were going through a divorce, and that was really, really hard on her. And her mom kind of was losing it, so she just let her do whatever. So she dropped out.
Did she ever find it, though?
I don't know.
What she was losing?
No offense, Leslie, but I don't know if you've ever had it. So I was really alone, and my best friend's ex-boyfriend, then, who was her current boyfriend freshman year, was the only person who was really there for me friend-wise, and his friends, who I thought were my friends, we dated sophomore year, and that was great. I mean, he was my first kind of serious boyfriend. And then when we broke up, he turned everyone in our friend group against me, and that's because his best friend...
It's because he had a little dick, isn't it?
Not that I would ever know. I will never know. His best friend, he fucking made a move on me. He, like, texted me some weird shit, like, not even a week after me and his friend had broken up. And I turned him down immediately because, one, he's gross, and two, I would never date an ex's best friend. I think that's shitty, and it, like, is juvenile, and I would never. So he tells his friend that I hit on him, which I don't know why he believed, because, let me clarify, his friend was really fucking gross. So...
Which is funny when you say that about dating a friend's friend or whatever. Because when I first started at Hy-Vee, I had only 2 people that I really kind of clicked with, because there's all new people that I just started to meet, started to work with, spend time with, and most of them are people that like I saw around school but I didn't really know. And one of them
was my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah. And I only found out after I started dating you.
Uh-huh.
And we were friends for a while. We actually clicked at work. But as soon as I found that out, it's as if all that friendship magic, if you want to call it, sounds kind of gay when I say it, but anything we had in common just kind of withered away after he found that out.
Well,
I don't know if that's his fault. I don't know if
think
that's
it's his
my
fault because he came up to you and he told you that I was high maintenance. I don't know if any of you know me. You know that I'm probably one of the most
I'm not really
low
sure where he
maintenance
was coming
person
from with that.
in the entire world. If he thinks I'm high maintenance, that's because he would buy me like crazy extravagant gifts out of nowhere, like out of fucking nowhere. And if he thinks that's high maintenance, I don't know if it's because I didn't fuck him or what, but we had a friend at the time who moved away after that year. And his name's Kaya. Really fucking cool guy. He moved around a lot, so he was only there for a year. But me and him were sitting in the library. I don't know why. I just opened up to him one day, and I was like, I'm never gonna fuck him. I hope he doesn't think that I will, because I will never fuck him. I only see him as like a whatever high school boyfriend. I see no real future with him. And he's like, oh. And I think he told him. I think that's why our relationship kind of fizzled, because shit just kind of got weird shortly after that.
Not to take his side at all, but I understand why that would make it fizzle. Obviously, it's not all about physical things. It didn't upset me
too much that it fizzled, but it still upset me. I mean, we spent a long time together. We cared about each other. I cared about him as a person. I just didn't see a romantic future with him.
It hurts to hear that someone won't fuck you. Especially when you've been dating them for months.
I know. We dated for like 8 months, too. And I had no intentions of sleeping with him at all.
Oh, yeah.
Or doing, like, any sexual acts at all, which we never did. I mean, sorry. I mean, I feel bad when I talk about it, but, like, I don't have to fuck you. Anyway, so then me and John met. So that just rolls right into that, doesn't it? We broke up. I had no friends. And then I started hanging out with the friend group that John was also friends with. And then he started stalking me, and then we ended up dating, so...
Yeah.
And now here we are.
That's Jenga.
That's Jenga.
So before we close this out, I got one more topic on this little spreadsheet right here, and that is I kind of want to loop it back to the movie Annabelle, where I talk about how can something this shitty still... I mean, it has 3 films. A lot of money goes into... And I can understand a sequel, because a lot of times bad movies have sequel, and
but
unfortunately... Yeah. What the fuck's that all about?
I mean...
So, me and Alyssa and I...
People love garbage.
We've been watching this show recently, starring Kristen Schaal and Will Forte.
Mm-hmm.
It was on Fox for 4 seasons. It's called Last Man on Earth. And,
great show.
A fantastic show. It's really stupid, but if you like the whole kind of stupid comedy, SNL kind of like goofiness, this is the show for you. Especially because there's a lot of like past SNL characters in it, and it just has that kind of goofy, loose, you never know what's going to happen feel. And the premise of it is Will Forte, he's the last man on Earth, obviously. If you haven't picked that up yet, the whole world dies of this
horrible virus.
Horrible virus. It's not like a zombie virus. It's just like...
It's like a sickness you get, and
Ebola
then it kills you.
Or whatever, And he's immune to it somehow, and he lives in Tucson, and he gets into all the, whatever you would expect the last person on Earth to do. There's nobody around. There's no law. There's nobody to judge you. He walks around in his underwear. He carries a gun in his
To open doors, he shoots doors with his gun.
He just walks up with a gun and just shoots the glass open and walks in.
It's beautiful.
It's a fantastic show, and we've been watching it on Hulu. Mm-hmm. We watched up to season 4, and it said all caught up. And our hearts stopped for a minute. And we're like, well, when does it come back? We got to watch more. We got to know what happens. Because it left you with like one of the... I'm not going to tell you. You got to watch it.
Huge
Tune in.
Cliffhanger.
Huge fucking unnecessary cliffhanger. Only to find out, I Googled, it was canceled just last May.
Yep.
Why would you cancel this?
And it's like at such a point... where it's like, you can't just stop the story. You have to wrap it up at least.
There's so many things going on.
So many things left open, and it's just very frustrating.
I've thought about it for the last day. Since we found out, I've just been thinking about it nonstop. I've been having to watch other things with Will Forte in it just to get my fucking fill.
Your fix. Your forte fix.
Yeah, my forte. It's heartbreaking.
It is. It's depressing.
And now that we're talking about Annabelle, I'm pissed about it all fucking over again.
Annabelle is horseshit. It's shit. I wish someone who would funnel money into garbage like that would funnel money into something that people actually want to watch. Something that has content. Something that, like, not only is stupid and comedic, is, like, something that has, like, a real message, has real life problems. I mean, not that the end of the world is here, but, you know, crossing my fingers.
So here's what I have to say. Obviously, this isn't a very popular podcast. Probably nobody important.
Not yet, anyway.
Nobody important's going to hear this, but Netflix, if you hear this, pick that fucking series up.
Yeah, dude, for
You get all
real.
these ridiculous-ass series. I mean, you picked up Trailer Park Boys after fucking...
Trailer Park Boys.
Whoever was producing that, I can't remember at the moment, that they stopped, and then you picked it up. That's great. You went along with the SwearNet thing.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love it. Why can't you do that with other things? You see, I just want you to see. This show is in need. It's got potential. It's beautiful.
It's such a
Pick
good
it up.
show.
If you're not Netflix and you haven't watched it, check it out.
Watch it.
I promise
and then
you
you'll
won't
be
be
just as
disappointed.
pissed off at us as us after the 4th season's over. And they leave it this giant fucking cliffhanger. I feel like this is what the people who like Firefly feel like.
Didn't that only get one season?
Yeah,
and then it got canceled?
yeah.
And apparently anybody who knows about Firefly loves it.
I've never watched it.
I've never watched it.
Just
either.
because I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to really like it and then just be pissed off because there's nothing left of it, you know?
And that has been John's TV show review of the week. So I think that's it.
You think so?
Is there anything else you want to cover while we're sitting here?
Oh, I don't like that you called my cat a bitch on the last episode. She's a nice lady, John.
She's a great cat.
She
She's
is
really
a great
sweet.
cat. Just
got a lot of
because she doesn't like
personality.
being held does not mean she's a bad cat or a bitch. That's a very harsh word, John. She is a lovely little lady. Carl is a little needy asshole, but I still fucking love him.
Look at me. What do you think I am?
A big needy asshole.
All right. Well, we are coming up on, 116?
Oh yeah, this is a long one.
Is that it?
I believe so.
We ready to close her out?
I mean...
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been John Gone West, episode 2. Thank you for tuning in, and here's some music again.